There are two things that I want to speak about now as far as SEO strategies are concerned, and they are guest blogging and editorial links. Guest blogging is where you would contact other websites and you would offer to post a blog in exchange for getting a link back to your site. Now, this used to be something very, very popular before, but I wanted to kind of speak about this and talk about the differentiation. And I want to debunk guest blogging a little bit because today guest blogging has kind of been an overused practice, and it's almost become automated where people are even selling automated services for guest blogging, and Google isn't very happy about that. So what I wanted to show you is a post by Matt Cutts in 2014 that says the new blog post that they talk about, he says the decay and fall of guest blogging. I wanted to kind of quote what he says. He says, okay, I'm calling it, if you're using guest blogging as a way to gain links in 2014. Yes, this is an old post, but I wanted to, call your attention to it because it's relevant for our discussion now. You should probably stop. Why? Because over time, it's become a more and more spammy practice. And if you're doing a lot of guest blogging, then you're hanging out with really bad company. He goes on to later say that ultimately, this is why we can't have nice things in the SEO space. A trend starts out as authentic, then more and more people pile on until only the barest trace of legitimate behavior remains. We've reached a point in the downward spiral where people are hawking guest post outsourcing and writing articles about how to automate guest blogging. So stick a fork in it. Guest blogging is done. It's just gotten too spammy. In general, I wouldn't recommend accepting a guest blog post unless you are willing to vouch for someone personally or know them well. Likewise, I wouldn't recommend relying on guest posting, guest blogging sites, or guest blogging SEO as a link building strategy. So this is important, but this doesn't mean that guest blogging is completely done and completely finished with. If you're guest blogging with just the intention to grab that link back, then you're approaching this very wrong. Again, I know that I'm beating a dead horse, but forge value and build trust. You have to do your guest post with a purpose. You don't want to approach it as a guest post. You want to approach it as an expert source. So you are basically an expert in your field. You're branding yourself, you're building credibility in your niche, and you're increasing your traffic, and you're being exposed to new audiences. But you don't want to be considered a guest poster. You want to be considered an author, for whatever blog that you're trying to post on. Of course, you have to target the blogs with high visibility, but you have to build a relationship with that publisher. This shouldn't just be a guest blogging type of relationship, and you should try to pitch a series instead of just one post. You have to, again, describe yourself as an expert contributor, not a guest author. You have to try to work with people with credible profiles, and develop yourself, develop them as experts in a specific niche. So stop thinking just about the links, and really start, thinking about adding value on credible sites. So there are some ways where you can make sure that guest blogging sites stay credible. You can ensure that the content is original. You can use the Copyscape and small SEO tool. If you're not familiar with Copyscape, you should definitely check it out. It's a great way to check for plagiarized content. Make sure the author is a real person. If you're accepting the guest posts from other people, see if they participated in the community before. Double check the links. It's not completely dead, but this is not something that you should be focusing a lot of your time on. What you should be focusing your time instead on is gaining editorial links. And how are you going to gain editorial links? Well, you're going to gain editorial links by writing awesome content, and you're going to have to develop yourself as an authority in the field. But it doesn't just end there. To gain editorial links, you have to do a little bit of PR. You have to outreach to different publications. You have to outreach to different news groups to papers to, media sites, TV shows, radio stations. Your goal is to gain editorial links. You want to make people aware of your content. If you don't make them aware of it, it's going to be difficult for them to find out about it. So, there's definitely a little bit of hustling that you have to do, but the editorial links are what you want to focus on as opposed to guest blogging. Guest blogging is okay. If you're doing it from a sincere point of view to add value and being exposed to a new audience, but you don't want to make guest blogging your primary SEO strategy. Focus on trying to get editorial links and doing as much as you can to try to find, some media outlet to write an article about you or write an article about your business or what you're doing. It's not going to be something that's simple, and the bigger the media, the bigger the media house, the more difficult it's going to be. But it's definitely going to be something that's well worth it. So give that a thought and see what you can come up with. I would suggest writing a few pitches that you can send off to different media publications, television stations, maybe even CNN. You could contact Huffington Post. There's tons of them that you can go after, but you really want to try to get those editorial links because those are huge. Try recommending some sort of angle or pitch for a story, by contacting some writers that work at those publications, because that's definitely one of the best strategies that you can do, because Google really loves editorial links.